For some, the Vuelta a España provides a chance for redemption. For others, it could be the cherry on top of their season. This year's race is bookended by time trials, but the 13 mountain stages will be just as important. Defending champion Chris Horner is back once again, along with home hero Alberto Contador and Giro d'Italia champion Nairo Quintana. It's often seen as the least prestigious of the three Grand Tours, but it is arguably the best lineup of 2014. Here are Cyclingnews' top 10 riders to watch at the Vuelta a España. Chris Horner was a surprise victor in 2013, becoming the oldest ever winner of a Grand Tour. The American is back for more this year with his new team, Lampre-Merida. Yet again, Horner's season has been disrupted by injury. His career was almost ended when he was hit by a car during training in April. He was expected to be out for most of the season, but made a comeback at the Tour, where he was in surprisingly good form. Despite being defending champion, Horner will be the underdog again. Until recently, Alberto Contador's participation in the Vuelta was in doubt. The wound he suffered as a result of his Tour de France ending crash was taking longer to heal than expected. However, a month after breaking his tibia, Contador announced that he would ride his home race. It remains to be seen how his form is after the disruptions, and he says that general classification is not his target. In form or not, Contador will be difficult to suppress, and a place on the podium isn't out of the question. Nairo Quintana is one of the few riders at this year's Vuelta who's been targeting the race from the offset. The Colombian has already ticked off one big goal this season with his convincing victory at the Giro. Afterwards, Quintana returned to Colombia and completed a training camp in the Boyacá Mountains before heading back to Europe. And after defending his Vuelta a Burgos title, it looks like he's in rude form once again. The field may be tougher than it was in May, but Quintana is still the big favourite for victory. For Chris Froome, the final Grand Tour of the year is a chance for him to revive a flagging season. The Dauphiné signalled the beginning of Froome's woes, but they came to a head at the Tour de France, where he eventually left the race with a broken hand and wrist. Froome has opted not to race back into form and has spent time training in the US with former rider Levi Leipheimer. His form is unknown, but Froome will be one of the key contenders, and the time trials will play into his hands. After missing out on the mountains classification at the Tour de France, Joaquim Rodríguez turns his attention to the general classification at the Vuelta a España. Since winning the World Tour rankings for the third time in his career in 2013, Rodríguez has had one of his toughest seasons in recent memory. It started well with a victory at the Vuelta a Catalunya, but crashes during the Ardennes and the Giro d'Italia left him with 3 broken ribs. Rodríguez has twice finished on the podium at the Vuelta, but the contest will be much tougher this time. Whatever he does, Andrew Talansky will forever be remembered for the way he battled on during stage 11 of the Tour de France. Despite visibly suffering, with tears on his cheeks, the American climbed back on his bike and finished more than 30 minutes behind the victor. He didn't start the following stage, but his doubtless determination shone through. It's that doggedness, combined with his talent, that makes him so promising. Talansky will struggle against some of the better climbers, but the time trials could see him finish well. Rigoberto Urán will be hoping that it's second time lucky at the Vuelta a España. The Colombian was beaten by his compatriot Nairo Quintana at the Giro d'Italia and will face him again in Spain. In preparation for the Grand Tour, Urán rode the Tour de l'Ain, where he played a support role for teammate Julian Alaphilippe. Over the last 3 years, Urán hasn't been able to replicate the form he's had at the Giro at the Vuelta, but that may change as he takes the lead for a Mega Pharma Quick-Step. Esteban Chavez is making his Grand Tour debut at the Vuelta a España. The 24-year-old joined Orica Green Edge this season and will lead the team's GC ambitions as the team target the overall classification for the first time. Chavez is a hugely promising talent and has taken wins in California and the Tour de Suisse this season. However, the team are being careful with how far they push him. Chavez suffered serious injury last season and has been slowly rebuilding his form. Chavez is best on the steep gradients and is a strong contender for a stage victory. For the past 2 seasons, Espana have been nurturing the talent of Fabio Aru. The Sardinian rewarded their faith when he stepped on the podium at the Giro d'Italia. Aru now returns to the Vuelta to show that his result wasn't a one-off. The peloton is stronger than it was in Italy, but Aru is a strong climber that can do some damage. A top 10 in the general classification will be a good result for Aru. And along with teammates Mikel Landa and Tanel Kangert, stage wins are a real possibility. Warren Barguil made his name at last year's Vuelta a Espana after he laid claim to 2-stage victories. Many expected him to make his Tour de France debut this year, but Giant-Shimano opted to send him back to the Vuelta. The team has a long-term plan and doesn't want to develop the 22-year-old too quickly. He goes into the race with a goal of consistency, so we can expect to see him take a different approach this year. All eyes will be on him as we wait to see how he does in the general classification.